Will the housing market crash in 2022? I have seen so many YouTube thumbnails recently where it's like, housing market crash 2022, rates are going up, housing prices have to go down, all this stuff, and it's nonsense, okay? A lot of this, amusingly enough to me, is the same people that were saying we were gonna have a crash in 2021 due to the forbearances, okay? And let me give you my perspective, okay? I am a mortgage lender. I do mortgages every single day. I am licensed in 48 states. I do loans across the country. I am over 65% purchase, okay? That's a big percentage. I closed over 650 loans last year. Now, I'm not saying this to be like a little braggy. I'm saying this to say, guys, I see what's going on. My phone, to close 600 loans, I need to qualify 3,000 to 4,000 people. Yeah, 3,000 to 4,000 people, because sometimes it may take a year or so to find a house. Sometimes people have work to do before they're ready to buy. So I am on the phone nonstop. And a lot of you guys have talked to me, so you know it. I'm on that phone. Anyways, here's the deal. The market was slowing down last year. At the end of the year, which was kind of interesting to me. It wasn't dead, but it was definitely different. May of last year, oh my goodness, March, April, May, mayhem. And June, July, okay. And then a little bit of a slowdown, okay? And this isn't everywhere in the country. Bay Area, always on fire. Miami, still on fire. But, the overall feel was slower, okay? I actually got to work out a couple times. Like, I wasn't chained to my desk for 12 hours, which is what my life had been in 2020 and 2021. Okay, so 2022 hits. January is usually a month that I almost could take off. I could go on vacation, very low stress because there's no inventory. And I've talked to you guys about this in another video called Why There's No Inventory in January. It's a slow month. It has not been a slow month. It has not been a slow month. Okay, so have there been a ton of people getting into contract this month? No, there's not inventory. How many people are getting pre-approved though? The amount of pre-approvals that I'm seeing right now and the amount of people who want to get pre-approved and talk about getting pre-approved, it's unlike anything I've ever seen in my career. It is, we have a whole new generation that is ready to buy houses. And when people are talking about a housing market crash, housing markets crash when there is more supply than there is demand, okay? Take anything you want, but the bottom line is supply and demand, right? If you have 10 million handbags, they're gonna be a lot cheaper than if you have 2, right? Simple math. Supply, demand, okay? Now, are we seeing more supply? Not yet. I mean, it's still January, February. We're not gonna know if we're gonna have a decent supply really until March, April, May, June, because that's usually when we start to see a bunch of listings to begin with. So we'll start to see if we're normalizing and going back to a regular market once it's spring, okay? But the demand is there. There is a huge demand. Now, if my phone was crickets in January and I could have actually taken, 2 vacations and, my team got time off, different story. It wasn't like that, and it's not like that. My calendar actually right now is already booking into the middle of February to talk about house planning. And what that means is there is a demand. So, do I think the housing market will crash? No, because we don't have enough supply and we have a bigger demand. Do I think the supply is suddenly gonna double, triple, quadruple? No, I think the supply is gonna stay pretty tight. I think we might see more supply than we did last year, but we have another factor now, which is gonna make people less likely to want to sell. A lot of people got magical, amazing low rates in the last few years. So the concept of selling their house with some crazy low rate, like 2.5, and then buying a house at a % higher in rate, it's gonna make some people wanna stay where they are. So that's not gonna help us with supply, okay? However, you know, the less fear mongering around COVID should make it so people are more likely to list their houses. We're also, you know, in the demand factor, we have a whole new playground we haven't even talked about. Prior to COVID, the concept of someone buying out of state, it wasn't very popular. Now, everyone wants to move to a different state. Not everyone, but I mean, it's big. Like a lot of the calls that I'm doing right now, you know, people are working remote, and it's like we always have as a question, what state do you want to buy in? They'll list 4. Right? So you have states where traditionally they've never had people from out of state, and all of a sudden there's all these new buyers coming in, right? And they don't really have the supply to handle all the new buyers, because traditionally it may have been an area where they only had local buyers, right? So there is this huge demand coming. The whole country is starting to open up, right? From, you know, especially, you know, California. Well, I want to move to Nevada, I want to move to Texas, I want to move to Idaho. You know, you've got all that, but then you've also got people who are like, oh, I've lived in Tennessee for 10 years and I think it'd be cool to live in North Carolina and I can work remote. Cool, let's do it. So there's this whole adventure mentality right now, which I think is really great. I'm very into it. I love the concept of like exploring the United States and getting to enjoy different states. So we've got that too, and that's a factor. So I don't want to go on too long. Do I think the housing market's going to crash? Absolutely not. You've got your basic supply and demand. Do I think rising interest rates is going to cut the demand? No, I don't. I really don't. I mean, if you raise them to like 7, yeah, but I think if we're 5 is usually the tipping point where I start to see slowing, because we saw that a couple years ago. But I think this year we'll stay under 4. I'd be surprised if we go much over it. We might, you know, in jumbo, but I don't think we're gonna see, you know, 5% rates this year. I could be wrong. The rates are very volatile, who knows? But I do not think the rising interest rates are gonna slow the market down that much. I do think they'll make it so that we won't see the price jumps of 21, but it is not gonna wreck the housing market. So I hope this video has been helpful. You know, keep in mind, this is my perspective. This is what I do every single day. I talk to people all day long about their home dreams. It's my favorite thing to do in the world. So I appreciate all of you guys that call me. I love our conversations. I'm going to be doing so many videos about what I've learned in the last few weeks. As always, I am licensed in 48 states to do mortgages. I am the person that you come to if you need money for a house, okay? So please feel free to reach out. There's a link to my calendar, book a time. I'm always happy to chat. Thanks for watching.